Hello, everyone. Well, I'm back with the part 6. Today we're going to do pockets and tags. I have my labels or words. I already glued them together with their little background on. I have there's the pockets. I pre-cut several of them. I'm going to show you how I've cut them in a minute. I have my black and white things and my um, colored doodle pieces. And I have a batch of tag shaped pieces. I have a couple of things that I had already in my stash, these little pads, but then I have a bunch of paint chips. Um, the pockets, I ended up going with a 4¼ inch square, and I just wanted a rounded corner. I kind of wanted a decorative corner, and nothing I had that looked right. So I ended up just doing a rounded corner, and I just used a sour cream container that was on my table holding some stuff to make a curve, and then I hand cut them. I didn't want anything that was going to tear up easy. I wanted something, not too frilly. This journal's not real frilly. I then did around the bottom corner with my 1/2 inch corner rounder. Each piece is going to go on the inside of a signature cover. I wanted to um, ink them. I didn't want them all that big white. I know I'm going to decorate it, but I didn't want them to be um, that creamy color. They are cream cardstock. But I inked and then I went back with the black edge, and I really like how that came out. And then basically I just did the same thing I've been doing on the pages, which is add a couple pieces or a piece of the colored doodle papers and then a black and white piece. And then I went in and added a sentiment that was already backed with black. Sentiment, words, phrase, whatever you want to call it. I did not glue the pockets in. Um, I went ahead and glued the phrase in so that I had it done. And I wrote down which um, signature that the pocket went in. I decided I really wanted to put stitching around the pockets. I had stitched around the page edges and I wanted to stitch the same way around the pockets. Excuse me. The second signature, and I have no idea why that particular signature, I couldn't find a color that matched or went or made me happy. It took forever to find a color that I liked. I flipped over the um, piece of cardstock I was using for the pocket, and it just did not look right. So um, I went back and tried to find a corner or a signature that it looked right in, and I did just fine doing that way. Um, so the numbers on my pockets really helped me keep track of what was done and what wasn't done. Also, by putting the sentiment on the page and gluing it down, I knew I had already worked on that signature. And I did put the words in the same place on every page. Uh, if there's stuff stuck into the pockets, I didn't figure it would interfere if it was up there. I got out a different set of ink pads. I really had a hard time finding something that I liked. They don't look as off um, on my computer as they did in person. I finally just uh, started just, if I didn't like it, I just hunted another page that would go. Again, I am using that Tombow Aqua glue. It's a permanent glue once it dries, but it does dry slower than art glitter glue, and therefore I can move things around a little bit. Now I will switch to art glitter glue later today, and I'll tell you why when I do. Um, I had already inked that one just simply because I was checking out to see how it was going to fit. And while I moved it from where I was using it, uh, I was pleased with how it looked on a different page. I did cut one of my flowers in half, and I found I did that a few times today. Um, I am low on embellishments again. I'm not going to be able to finish, I don't think. Um, it's amazing how many embellishments you will go through when you're working on a journal like this, especially if you're putting them on every page. Now, they're not on the writing pages, they're really just on the signature covers. But since there's 8 signatures, that means there's 16 pages on the outside, plus 8 pockets on the inside. And so, yeah, you use a lot of embellishments. Still didn't like that color. It's funny, the ink colors worked perfectly on other pages. They just did not work on that one. Sometimes I had to count which signature I was in. I wasn't really paying attention. I wanted to make sure I got it right. I keep trying to different colors. This one was really wrong. You can even see that on the monitor. I have started putting an entire playlist or list of the other videos in my description box. So you'll want to make sure that you check down there. I'll put a link at the end of the video for the one before it, but it's always hard to get links into a video. So putting them in the description box will make it easier for you to find them all. Um, as I said, this is the 6th one. I hope you're enjoying this series. I wanted to make this, and I know they're long videos. I have sped it up. I didn't want to make it any faster, but you can make it faster. You can skip to the end or skip through places. If you want to slow it down where you can see everything in real time, you can also do that. Um, I figured that you could sort of see what I was doing with this speed. I didn't want to speed it up anymore. I'm sorry they get so long, but this is well over 2 hours worth of work. And that's not counting the sewing I did off camera. So, nope, neither color worked there again. So, I've been having fun with this project. It's really been kind of fun. I just realized the air conditioner is running and it probably is recording the air conditioner. I'm sorry. If you do like this kind of video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, make sure you're subscribed to my channel and have the notification settings on so you can get notified when the new one comes up. I've been putting these up every Tuesday. Hope to continue until this project's done, um, which shouldn't take much longer, I don't think. I finally got wise and started checking the color on a scrap because I was out of other pages to put it on. This is the last pocket I need to do, so it was an all right color. I still wasn't exactly happy with it, but it works. It was the best color I could find to go on there. Oh, I don't know if I said this, but I did put a black edge. After I put the colored um, edges on, I put a black edge on to kind of make it pop. Okay, so all the pockets are done, and like I said, I want to sew around the edges of them. So I'm going to set them aside and pull out my tag stuff so that I can um, work to get those ready to sew around too. Those are little paper pads that I had in my stash of stuff. The others are all paint chips and whatnot, and I just I'm just backing them with some large copy paper. Um, I would say this is a heavyweight copy paper. It's not the cheap stuff. I think it's 11 by 17, 11 and a half by 17. It's 11 and a half. It's 11 by 17, I think, is what it is. Um, it's something I got from the printers, and it's just a copy paper. It's actually what I use to make the pages inside the signatures of this book. And I'm just glue sticking those paint chips down and burnishing them to that paper so that I can sew around them in a minute. Um, I'm not sure I have enough stuck down, but we'll see. I don't want to put too many things in each pocket, simply because I don't want the book to gator mouth too bad. By burnishing it, I made sure that there wasn't a bunch of lumpy glue stick areas. And I tried to pick colors that I kind of knew were already in the book, even though I picked some dark ones as well as some light ones. And I wanted that paper on the back because I did not want the writing on the back of the paint chips to be there. I wanted to be able to write on the back of the paint chips. So I put the paper on, and then I tore it off so that I have just a tiny little, about an eighth of an inch of white paper all the way around the paint chip. It's just a way to cover up the back, but also give it a little edge. Right now they kind of look like little houses instead of tags, but they're headed towards being a tag. And I am not using the tear ruler side of that ruler. I'm actually using a straight edge because I didn't want a lot of crooked edges in there. I just wanted to have it ripped instead of really rough. The edges on the paint chips are so crisp and straight. I didn't want to go with something that was really fluffy. I do have a couple of tags that were from my stash of stuff that had about the right colors and values in it. I wanted there to be a little bit of differences in the tags, little surprises. Um, so I put those couple of little scrappy notepads in, as well as a couple of tags that are not the paint chips. Okay, so I went to the sewing machine and I sewed around everything. Um, I am going to use art glitter glue to sew on the pocket, or to glue on the pockets. Um, while the Tombow glue is really good, the art glitter glue I consider stronger. Plus, it does dry right away. And I wanted to get those pockets on there and have them be nice and stable on there. I started the back, and I am using some little tiny clips. Those clips are from Dollar Tree. They're just little clips I have in my drawer, and I'm clipping them on partially because the pages are not absolutely flat anymore. Plus, I've got all that sewing thread on there, so I wanted to make sure that everything was well adhered. So I clipped them on. I just sew around them with black thread. It's just regular old sewing thread, and I think about a 3 to 4 inch stitch length. Nothing real short, not super long. I did leave some of the tails. I ran out of clips, so all the pockets are not glued in, but I set it aside so I could do something else while those pockets were drying, and I could go back and get some clips. So I'm just going to decorate the fronts of the little things I'm going to stick in the pockets. As I said, those are just little scrap paper pads. They happen to have a paint chip on the front cover. These are the two odd, excuse me again, these are the two odd tags that I had in my stash. They're just jelly printed tags. They're probably cardstock, and I had sewed around them already. They were just in a stash of blank card or tag bases that I had, and I'm decorating the same way with at least one uh, of my doodle prints and one of the um, black and white prints. Now we're going to do the tags. Um, these are all paint chip tags. I am inking around the edges just with black. I didn't like the stark white paper. Decided to go back and ink around those other two tags. I like the inked edges, so I just went around and inked them all. Now then, you want to be careful when you're touching your paint chips because the ink doesn't dry immediately on there. Dries pretty quick, but not as fast as on a more porous paper. The other thing is I decided I needed to use the art glitter glue to glue things down because the paint chips are a little harder to glue things to. So I instead of the Tombow Aqua Glue, I used the art glitter glue. Again, I'm going to reiterate the fact that by choosing to use the same basic embellishments for each piece, it gives it sort of a cohesive look, something that if I used different kinds of embellishments on each piece, they would be different. Now, all the embellishments are all handmade, so there are none of them exactly the same, but they do have the same feel. And I did not put any words on the tags. I have my big um, ticket looking words, so I was very happy with how those were, and I just didn't feel like the tags needed them. When I was inking, I did try to wipe the ink pad across onto the paint chip as well as on the edge of the white paper so that it sort of did a thing where it skipped the very inside of the white paper, but it did catch the edge of the tag. If I had thought, I might have ink the tags before I glued them down, but I didn't think about it. As I said, the further down I got with my embellishments, the harder it was for me to come up with a layout. Didn't stop me, just made it harder for me to think about it. The other thing was what was left as far as the doodled embellishments were large, and I was having trouble trying to make them. That was all out the embellishments I had, so I was really down on embellishments. Well, the first batch of pockets is reasonably dry. They may not be completely dry, but they were dry enough I could pull the tags. So now I'm going to finish putting the pockets on. I won't be able to put anything in these pockets, but I can put the tags and things that I have finished into the other pockets. I just kind of tried to pull colors that kind of went with the page. Of course, I didn't think to pull the um, book over where you could see what I was doing, but so because I'm out of embellishments and I have a few tags left, this is where I'm going to leave it this week. Once again, this is a 30-minute video with it sped up as fast as I could make it go. Um, I will finish these up next week and go on to the next part. I have a few little marks I want to make in it. I'll sort of show you next week what I'm talking about. I think some of the pages could use some balancing out. In the meantime, go have fun, make some art. Have a great day.